Hello everyone, my name is Awot, and I was just enjoying myself playing Age of Mythology with my friends. I've been back playing a lot more Age of Mythology now these days, now that I got over the burnout of working on my mod, and the countless hours I was alpha and beta testing the maps. And I was just enjoying myself, and then I saw that Age of Empires has released the roadmap for the second half of 2026. And so I took a peek, and I saw that for the rest of 2026, they're going to be focused on Vikings in Age of Empires 2 and 4, and the Baltics DLC coming out in Age of Empires 3. So I looked around for any Age of Mythology news and realized there was nothing. We are not eating for the rest of the year. There is no Tooth Fairy. There is no Fourth Egyptian for 2026. Door's still open for 2027, though. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they said we're canceling AoM or anything. But yeah, so I have bad news for you guys on top of this bad news. I'm canceling Season 3 Development Diaries, and I will also be pulling support for a decent part of my mod. I know a lot of you guys are a big fan of Awot Unknown, but unfortunately that's just not gonna fly right now. And yeah, that's the news I just wanted to share with you guys. With me canceling support for most of my mod, and I'm canceling the series where I developed the mod and Development Diaries. So thank you for watching. Have a great day, and see ya. No, I'm just kidding. So, since there's going to be a lack of Age of Mythology content for 2026, I'm excited to announce that I will be resuming mod development. I will be trying to push out my own unofficial content in the form of the continuously expanding Awot's Otherworldly Maps mod, giving you more skirmish maps to play. And I will resume making content about it during dry periods where there's no news about Age of Mythology for the rest of 2026, I think. And I will, in fact, not be continuing Development Diaries exactly. I'll be remaking the series as Coding Chronicles. So it's going through a bit of a rebrand. It's going to be called Coding Chronicles instead of Development Diaries. Because even though in Development Diaries, I would literally disclaim many times that had nothing to do with Age of Mythology, like the official Age of Mythology, I would put first thing in the descriptions, I would disclaim it first thing in the videos. I would literally talk about me being unemployed, and therefore that would mean I didn't work for anyone, that is the definition of unemployed, or literally go through the fact that I will be showing a mod on screen with my name on it, and repeatedly mentioned I'm developing a mod. It seemed that despite all of those things, people would assume that I was impersonating a developer, since they would only read the title of Development Diaries and ignore any of the context provided in the video, description, anything else, first 20 seconds of the video, whatever. Because I have to admit, the Development Diaries was a pretty bad name. I was just excited to learn how to develop a mod. I thought Dev Diaries was a catchy name, so I made the series name that. So I admit that was a bad name that I had set myself up there. And while in later episodes I realized it was a bad name, I would put disclaimers all over the place. I overestimate people's ability to do anything but read the title and send me less than fancy emails. So the series will be renamed to Coding Chronicles now. Going forward in the future, I'm going to try and rename all the old Dev Diaries videos to Coding Chronicles, although the audio for those videos have already been made, so I'll still say Dev Diaries in the video itself, but I'll add a context in the description saying that the series name was changed from Dev Diaries to Coding Chronicles. I tried to have the name be about coding, of course, because that's what I'm doing. I'm learning coding through nothing but Age of Mythology here. That's the whole gimmick. And on top of that, I wanted to have a catchy name, so I want both words to start with the same letter. I believe that's called alliteration or something. And audio for future videos, you'll hear me say Coding Chronicles now. Although truthfully, I prefer the name Dev Diaries. I just think that's way catchier. I will sacrifice the loss of a cool name just to prevent that confusion anymore, because I had no intention of pretending to be a developer or anything like that. If you watch any of the context of the videos, it was clear that I was making a mod, but that wasn't enough, I guess. It reminds me of the guy who's put a vague poster advertising his solar panel company, and it showed his face and said clean energy for better prices or something like that, and people started thinking he was running for a sort of political office as opposed to it being an advert for his business, and started sending him threats. Although I'm pretty sure that guy had way worse than me, but I hope that it becomes something that we can kid and have fun about in hindsight, as opposed to having terrifying less than positive memories. But anyways, at the start of the video, I mentioned something about not continuing Awot Unknown anymore. That is true. The current Awot Unknown, you guys may have heard me talk about it in several videos, talk about it with regret as to how it's very primitive and how it's programmed and how bloated the size of the file is, and how if I remade it with what I knew today, I could do way better. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And that's gonna be the start of Coding Chronicles, is me remaking one of my most ambitious maps to be even more ambitious, because I legitimately want this map to compete with the actual Unknown, and yet the file size was kind of wild. So I'm gonna be doing that. So the old Awot Unknown, I'm planning on just scrapping it. I might just go in the trash. If some people request it, I might keep it, but the point of remaking the map so it's gonna be less bloated and take up less space would be kind of circumvented if I kept the old bloated one in the files anyway. But let me know what you guys think. If you want to keep it, I can keep it in the mod as an option for you to play on, since more options are usually better than less. But yeah, the old one will not be updated anymore, and if there is a new Pantheon that introduces new biomes in the far future, definitely not 2026 based on this news, the old Awot Unknown will not be receiving those updates anymore, and only the new Awot Unknown will get it. I'm not really sure what I should call the old one. Should I call it like Awot Unknown Legacy, Awot Unknown Classic, let me know. But the new one will take the place as just Awot Unknown blank, you know, just Awot Unknown by itself. Which, like, this time on top of improving my RMS skills, I'm going to be trying to improve my trigger skills. So RMS is the language of random maps. It really stands for random map scripts, and you only need to know that to make maps. You can tell so far that I've been doing pretty excellent just knowing RMS, and I know absolutely nothing about Age of Mythology's triggers or how to code them. But this time around, I'm going to start learning them and see what kind of spicy stuff I can do, because I heard they can add some really goofy stuff to your maps. Although I'll refrain from doing too much so, since I know a lot of the people who play my maps prefer to have the normal experience with just some extra flair to it. I'll leave the more exciting and awesome stuff up to Notud. And just like with RMS, I'm going to be trying to learn that thing entirely by myself. You know, if I really get stuck, I might throw a lifeline out there, but for the most part, it's a learning process. The series is about me learning coding exclusively through Age of Mythology, so I'll be trying to learn as much as I can about triggers by myself alone. I want to add triggers this time around, not for just spicing up my maps, but also to throw a new dynamic to the series, because I want to introduce a new thing for me to learn in the series. Since I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think after the most recent updates that include Awot Split and Awot Select for my mod, I got a lot better of an understanding as to how RMS works and how you can do certain things. Like, I go back sometimes, I watch the old video where I was showing you to make pawns on Mount Awot, and I cringe at it so badly because it's full of so much misinformation and general confusion, because I just didn't know what I was doing then that I do know how to do now. But just overall, there will be much less content for me to make about me learning RMS, since there's overall just a lot less for me to learn about RMS. I'm not saying I've completely mastered yet. There's definitely a few concepts I could use some work or I could discover still, but those concepts are really difficult and probably not coming overnight, so it'll be pretty hard to make content on them. So hopefully triggers will be that I can regularly learn new things for and therefore make new content about it, my learning process and whatnot. And then unfortunately there was a video that was intended for July 31st, so this past Friday. The video was going to be a gameplay commentary about raiding Egypt in protest of the 4th Egyptian not coming out. That's a joke, of course. But yeah, July 30th was when they released the news, the roadmap for 2026, and we didn't see anything for Age of Mythology. So me and friend played on Awot Split. We were playing as Kronos and Hades, and the enemies were all Egyptian. I put them all on random Egyptian and then put 4 Egyptians because, of course, we're protesting for the 4th Egyptian. Try not to get lost there. And the general idea was that we were coming out of the underworld to raid Egypt, you know, using the underworld passage, just like how Arcantos uses it in the main campaign. And yeah, there were a lot of highlights in the gameplay, such as when the Son of Cyrus was one of the last enemy units standing and he was not going down without a fight. So we literally surrounded him on all sides with Arcus and Toxotes, and we like firing squatted the dude, we execution squatted him. And being a Son of Cyrus and all, he was so tanky, he could withstand it for a solid amount. So it gave me enough time to watch the firing squad from his POV. It was pretty nice and funny. And then, of course, there being 4 Egyptians, it was very difficult, and there were a lot of times where we thought they had our number, like they were about to win, but we bounced back, just barely. Where we barely grasped one of the Egyptians down by the throat, and then we worked our way one from there. But unfortunately, as I would find out later, my recording randomly just shut off halfway through the match. And so that video wasn't be able to be made, since all the highlights and all the good moments were not available. Since that happened in the later half of the match and my recording shut down in the middle of the match. So unfortunately, that footage has been reduced to background footage for this video. Very sad. But yeah, that's about it. Just excited to announce that I will be working my mod again. I've actually already made a decent amount of progress. I probably already have enough content to make episode 1. I hope my video content and my mod content can fill the drought that is about to be the great 2026 drought for Age of Mythology. Hopefully you can feed some of us until then. Rest in peace to Lost protesting in Egypt video. Maybe we'll remake it later. Thank you for watching and have a great day. And also Urgla Burger, you made it this far, hello. Yes, you've made it into one of my videos.
Development